Wow. Good morning, Nigerians. Sorry, it took a while. It took about 10 minutes to get ready. But we're here. And we have to get down to the root of the reason we are having this conversation. Economic nationalism, Buharism as a project, our failure as a country, and possible solutions that are easy but seems to be very, very far away from politicians. Let us put things in perspective so that we can have an understanding of where we are coming from, and then we can begin to build solutions to our problems. I'm going to come from the examples that are very easily accessible to all Nigerians. When Donald Trump became president, the message he has pushed more than every other thing is the message of American first, the American nationalism message. If you go to China, it is the same message. If you go to most of Europe, you have the same message. You see, the essence of the national message or the national question is that production, the economy, the society, the well-being of a people should be domesticated, not imported. Because the danger of importation is that you have no control over who you are. Those are the dangers of importation. The benefit of domestication is that you are absolutely in control. And so you can decide what you want and what you don't want. Let me give you a perfect example. Sometimes in 2014, and it has been happening over time, the United States felt above all things that the Chinese were killing their economy. Why? Okay, China is a productive economy. And so, because they produce, they can control what happens to their currency, the renminbi or the yuan, whatever you want to call it. They can also control the balance of trade relationship between China and the United States. And so what they did simply is they observed that the production in China was slowing down. And so they had to devalue the renminbi. But guess how, by how many percent? By about 2.5%. And by that 2.5% devaluation, you know what happened in the United States? The Americans cried foul. Why are you devaluing your currency? And you want to kill our economy? And so you begin to understand and look at the deception of the national intent of the American economy, but then they will tell you that no, to nationalize the economy is wrong. But to nationalize their economy is not a problem. Key factors, key examples. The largest manufacturer of aircraft, of domestic aircraft, and also support industrial development in the world is Boeing and Airbus ADS in Europe. Boeing in the US, Airbus ADS in Europe. Guess what? As much and as long as the American economy and the American economists preach neoliberalism and free trade, they end up always subsidizing their manufacturing, subsidizing Boeing, and the European economies subsidizes Airbus, ADS. So you understand the deception of where we are coming from. Now let us come back home to Nigeria. Without economic nationalism, what do I mean by economic nationalism? I am talking about the domestic control of the Nigerian economy. You see, I don't expect Nigeria to control all. Like me, we have to be honest with ourselves. We don't expect the Nigerian economy to be controlled by all aspects of the Nigerian economy to be controlled by Nigerians. But look at what must be controlled, or else we will continue to fail. Your currency must be controlled, and this is a basic argument. It's a basic narrative. It's a basic economic premise. When you devalue your currency, who does it favor? Devaluation of currency does not favor the people, the citizens, the masses. No, never. When you devalue your currency, what you are doing is, it is the expectation that when I devalue, the export component of my economy is going to be, I'm going to boost the export component of my economy. Because then my goods can become cheaper and more and more people can buy from me. That is one of the key components of devaluation. And so you create a competitive aspect of your economy. That's what you do when you devalue. However, and this is the caveat, and this is what a lot of economists don't tell you. What is the productive component of the Nigerian economy? Less than 15% of the Nigerian economy is actually productive. Okay, so we don't do plus and minuses and say, okay, look, let's now begin to put the figures together. One, you import 85% of what you consume. You produce less than 15% of the total capacity of the Nigerian economy. So, how is that wrong? Now, this is where it now begins to affect the currency and when you devalue. Because the consumers are your people. And because your economy is a component of imports. You see, the price of good is not determined by your currency no longer. The naira no longer becomes a factor in determining the price of your goods. It is the dollar. It is the currency of exchange. It is the currency of trade. And because your trade is heavily dependent on import, it is that currency that determines what you produce, what you sell, and the capacity, the purchasing power of your own people. So when you devalue in an import-dependent economy, what you simply do is that instead of helping those you're trying to help, you actually end up killing those who are supposed to consume and those who can boost production when it is local. So by devaluing, you kill. You don't save. But devaluing, what you end up doing is to actually suffocate your own people. And it has not worked anywhere in the world. Look, people keep talking about devaluation as a tool of economic growth. Ask yourself, let anybody go and read any economic book. Or go and look at any economic history. Which developing economy has a devaluation ever helped? Zero. None. Nada. And so when you talk about economic nationalism and you look at currency, price, and trade, international trade as issues, then you begin to understand that when you devalue, you kill your own people. So it doesn't benefit the people. It doesn't benefit those who consume. It doesn't benefit those who will buy. That is where we got the devaluation policy wrong. Now, the question is, if devaluation is wrong, what can work? This is what has worked. This is what you can go into history, you can go into economics, you can check Malaysia, you can check China, you can check Korea, you can even check the United States and check Britain when they were growing. This is what has worked. What has worked is the nationalization of the national economy, of the nation's economy. Why? You control currency. Look, go and read see Forbes of the popular Forbes magazine. You have to control your currency, or else you realize that as you're trying to improve production, you're actually killing those who will consume that which you produce. It's basic economy. It is. And so, in the essence of not devaluing or not nationalizing, the essence of not devaluing your currency is simple. It's so that you can maintain the purchasing power of the ordinary citizens. Because look at it now, look at the example before you. Pre-devaluation, we were struggling to find dollars. But there was a sense out there that the dollar was 200, the dollar was 190 something, and so on and so forth. And so even though there was a time that the naira spiked up to almost 400, it collapsed almost immediately because there was always that fear that how far can we push it before those of us who are speculators end up burning our fingers. But imagine what happened immediately after you devalue the currency. It went in a free fall, and it went in a free fall because like I said, your import is not dominated in naira, it's dominated in dollar practically. And so what you are doing is you're actually devaluing the earning capacity of your own people. You're killing them. And so we have run into a quagmire. The solution is easy. My friend, Nuruddin Toba, I'm always referring to him because he speaks sense to the matter. Has always said it. You see, what you do is, he's a fish producer. I think he's the president of, one-time president, I don't know if he is, of the Tilapia Association of Nigeria also. He said it. You see, what you do if you want Nigeria to produce fish is stop importation of fish. Damn the consequences. What will happen? Then, make sure that those who are farming fish in Nigeria are heavily empowered. Forget about light for now. Let's do something for them. Okay, guys, when I need diesel to produce fish bar, no problem. We're going to give on a diesel. If you know, we give on a power. We give on a diesel, we give on a money. Give them diesel, give them money. Ensure that there are people who are supporting them as they are creating their ponds for fishery. They are developing vaccines to help them in fishing. They are developing feeds themselves and so on and so forth. Once you create that market and you lock down the importation of fish, what you end up doing is you sustain the local producers, you give them the capacity to produce, and above all things, you create a support mechanism within the economy that is able to cater for those who are farming fish. That is the solution, not devaluation. Devaluation no dey work. Bros, we could speak pidgin so that it go dey clear for everybody. It never work for anybody all over the world. Okay, so let's get off the issue of devaluation and look at the issue of labor. You see, labor, the essence of localizing labor is so that you empower more and more for people. But people will always say that is the Nigerian workforce, are we as educated and as sophisticated as the modern economy? My brothers and sisters, you don't have to be sophisticated to be a part of the productive economy. You look at the history of China and so many of these countries. Look, do what you can do. Where am I coming from? Now, there were days when this country survived not on crude oil, but on agriculture. Why is agriculture so important? Why is agriculture so vital? Why is agriculture so interesting? It is because it is the only short-term solution to getting out of the economy, to get out of the economic quagmire you have. See, look, in case you're missing the point, in the third quarter of 2016, go and check it. As I'm talking to you right now, go and check it, go and verify it. Third quarter, 2016. The largest economy in the world, even though I feel that is deception. I feel China is the largest economy in the world. But let us give US, let them keep deceiving themselves. The largest economy in the world, the United States, grew in the third quarter of 2016 by not cars, not technology, not satellite or space or anything, but soya beans was the component of their growth in the third quarter of 2015. Go and verify it. Soya beans, bros, now agriculture be that. Soya beans, so short. Now soya beans now give US, now make US grow for third quarter 2016. Soya beans. Here we are, you and I, in a country where we have one of the finest arable land in the whole of the world, not just Africa. Land day. The government can invest in agriculture, and I can say it categorically without mixing point. This is where I feel that the government has not done enough with regards to massive re-engagement in agriculture. They have not done enough. Yes, they are trying. Yes, they are making attempts, but they have not done enough. Because the truth is, short term, if you plant rice, how long will it take for rice to ready to chop, to work? How long? When you plant rice, it takes 5-6 months for the guy to be ready. So, people won't die. Go into massive rice production in this country, and then see what will happen to you in the next 6 months. That is the essence of what we are talking about. So, agriculture is the only thing that can get you out of the immediate economic problem that we have. It is nothing else. Because most economy, look, the Japanese economy did not start from technology, it started from agriculture. The same thing with the Chinese economy, the United States economy. Why do you think Americans have elections in November? Thanksgiving, harvest. What do you think is in November? It was because they were mostly farmers. And so you have to wait to conduct your election at the end of the farming season, when they harvest and they are resting, preparing for the new farming season. That was one of the reasons for the November elections. So almost every productive economy that you have today started from the farm. And so once you begin to develop the agricultural sector, you actually develop your labor capacity and utilize labor where it is needed. Because where is labor needed today? Look, forget about all our people that are sitting in the urban area and crying hunger. Hunger will kill us. We will chop sand for this country if we don't understand that. At the end of the day, the key concept, the key component of growth are looking at us in the face. We don't need any Harvard economists to tell you what is wrong with this country. We don't need them. We're 180 million people. If 40 million Nigerians go into the farm, I give you guys 1 year, Nigeria will grow by 2 digits. Our GDP will grow by more than 2%. What are we talking about? And so we must localize labor. We must localize labor because the essence of agriculture is that the value chain is immense. You see, it's not just the farm. Because from the farm, you produce. And when you produce, and as you begin to produce, you begin to think about machinery. You begin to think about processes. You begin to think about processing. And so much rely on agriculture. And that is why it is the hub of growth. And that is why my brother and my big uncle, F.A. Williams and Andrew, will always tell you that, look, they say a nation that cannot feed itself is a nation that cannot grow. It's impossible for that nation to grow. And so we must localize labor. The fact. And from localizing labor, we then begin to localize capital. Let me put it to you, and let us be very clear. You see, the Nigerian stock market or the stock exchange or globally, since the introduction of the stock exchange more than 30, 40 years ago, guess what has happened? Liquidity has become a problem because a lot of us across the world are going after hot money. I call them hot money for one reason. Portfolio, yes. Look at the portfolio capital. Look at the stock exchange, the capital market, and so on and so forth. We are taking money from where we have so much liquid flowing. Everybody is talking about, oh, this stock is up, that share is up. Look at it. Let me put it to you. Let me ask you, and then please clarify me. How many stock or portfolio or investments are performing better than agricultural stock all over the world? As in real production. There are not plenty. Government needs to begin to have control over its capital, over its money, over its finances, and so on and so forth. The essence of doing this is so that you can realign. And look, agriculture is so important that because once you realign capital towards that sector, once you look at throwing money into production, not forget about industrial production right now, we are not there yet because we won't get there. But it's like people talking about you want to have 20,000 megawatts of electricity today. Look, be realistic to yourself. You are struggling with 4,000 megawatts of electricity. Where's 20,000 going to come from? Where is 20,000 going to come from? Thank you, Olajide. 40 million farmers are too much. 5 million are good enough. 5 million farmers, Olajide is telling you that can add how much? Can add 2% GDP growth at the end of this year. We're not. So we need to realign capital. And in realigning capital, we must push capital into the sector of the economy where it is needed. Forget about stock market. Look, it's speculative. I'm a trader. I've traded financial instruments for years. In short, for a lot of you that know me, you know that as early as 2006, 2007, I was one of the largest financial instrument traders in this country. In private, anyway. Even though it was, he ended up messing me up a lot. I mean, we don't have to go into that point. So the issue is, people must begin to get off the drug, the steroid of speculative businesses. And it is speculative that is making so many of us go into sport betting. Look, the amount of money so many of us waste in sport betting, if you take that money and go into farming, you will be shocked what you can produce out of that. So, the Nigerian economy must be nationalized. Look, stop listening to what the West will tell you. They tell you one thing and they do the other. And that is why I like Donald Trump. Sorry, but that's the fact. And look at what he told the United States yesterday. He told them yesterday when he said Russia is Vladimir Putin is a killer. You know, you can't remember what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said, I mean, are we any different? Is America any different? And so they tell you one thing, they do the other. During 2008 financial crisis, they had a problem with Canada. You know the problem they had with Canada? There was part of the bill they wrote for the $87 billion stimulus. Had it that they are going to only use US-made steel. And so the Canadian Prime Minister wrote to them and said, what is wrong with you guys? US-made steel. Maybe you know, they talk about globalization. Globalization says that you go sell steel to you. They said no. Canada said no problem. The next day, Canada Trade Minister wrote something and said, henceforth, all Canadian construction, all American companies working in Canada were going to be paying 10% tax or so and so. But they just give a worker a name. Within a week, U.S. government called them and said, okay, sorry, Canada is removed from the list. Can you understand it? Can you begin to see the deception? You wrote a bill. You say this is the U.S. The proponent of free market economy in the world, writing in a bill that U.S. steel will be used in the construction project in the United States. If we are going to government is going to give $787 billion stimulus. So you are seeing deception in play. And that's why all of them, they won't tell you. Donald Trump is being honest and telling you that economic nationalism is what everybody practice. I mean, go and ask the Chinese. Go and ask the Koreans. Who send you? Now, would they send person for this country? Buhari said no, cars shouldn't come from land borders. We are saying, oh, it's going to kill us. Make we die now. I mean, what is wrong if we die? Must you drive motor? Must we drive? And if you won't drive, buy them now. If a dollar is 1,000, $1 is 1,000 naira today, you won't buy them, you go buy them now. Buy them. It is time we begin to tell ourselves the truth. It is time we begin to look at ourselves in the eyes and tell ourselves that something is not working. Whatever is not working is not the president. It is you and I. Our thinking process has been, I mean, we imported the thought process. We imported it. We imported the religion. We imported our economy. You saw everything in this country, we imported it. So we're not thinking for ourselves. And so we need to move in that direction. And in moving in that direction, you begin to understand why some of us are dogged and are committed to the Buhari's doctrine and the Buhari's message. And this is why. Let it be clear. He is not interested too much in all the noise we talk about. The interest in how do we stimulate the local economy? How do we nationalize the Nigerian economy? Because the reason, look, the reason South Africa is so much in Nigeria, you have Big Brother Nigeria holding in South Africa. Look at it. It is because they understand that Nigeria have the market. So you can host it in South Africa but sell it in Nigeria and make money. So why don't we do the same to ourselves? Why don't we make sure that we become a localized economy first? Can you remember what President or Treasury Secretary of the United States said? He told the Britain that he said don't worry. When Britain was pushing globalization to them, he said don't worry. He said when we get to where you are, Britain, we will globalize. Understand that message. When we get to where you are, Britain will globalize. And so America did not become a globalized or a free trade economy until sometimes not up to 60, 70, 80 years ago. Because they had to develop first. There were times in the US that if you want to set up a company in the US, if you don't have an American as a major shareholder and as a decision maker, you cannot set up a company in the US. Are you aware? So why should somebody come from somewhere and tell you this is what you must do? Every single IMF and World Bank educated economists, most of the time, they have made the mistake of importing a policy, of importing a process that does only one thing to the Nigerian state, that end up destroying what we should do for ourselves. And so the failures are many. However, what we are driving at is simple. Is that we must localize. See, Motor is a Nigerian-made company. In 1976, Nigeria set up the first automobile assembly plant in this country 40 years ago. About 41 years now. What was the essence of the 1976 pan Peugeot set up in Kaduna? It was so that over a period of a decade, Nigeria will be able to produce its own cars. Why have we not produced our own cars? Because we forgot why that company was set up in the first place. Fabrication, from fabrication to production. And so, 40 years down the line, somebody is still looking at me and you in the eyes and telling us that let the environment be okay first before we start. What environment? It is never going to be okay. Look, tell yourself the truth. You see this hunger we are facing right now? This hunger is not going anywhere. You see this pain we are suffering right now? This pain is not going anywhere. You see this worry, we are worried today. The worry is not heading anywhere. Because what is key is lost to most of us. What is key is lost. And so what we have become as a people is a people who are so locked in wailing and hailing. Yes, wailing and hailing. The two divide. Oh, Buhari don't die. Hey, Jonathan is good. Hey, this while we wail and hail, the only thing we do is we end up feeding this political monster who are not interested in our economy anyway. I mean, look at the Nigerian Senate, for example. Every time when Buhari came up and said, let us massively shock up the system with what we did, what the Senate did, was simply to tell everybody in their care to listen that, you see, we don't know how Buhari is going to spend that money. That is a Senate who, above all things, whose sole interest is on how we can get this country up and running. That is our Senate. So you have people whose interest is not all about you, the Nigerian people, but about themselves. That's exactly what you have. And so above all things, you see, increase in tariff is not a bad thing. If the result is back to is boosting the Nigerian economy. You see, production, going local is not a bad thing. Being hungry is not a bad thing. We must be hungry today. Because the problem was we were afraid to, we were not interested in making the hard decisions yesterday. And that's why I always say that above all things, look at it this way. Before now, a lot of us knew that this recession was coming. Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, which one of the agencies we are shutting down very soon, came and told everybody that in 2012 that this country is going to go into a recession. 2012, Okonjo-Iweala won. 2014, Okonjo-Iweala won. Credit to her, even though I don't believe in her policies so much. Did you listen? The country didn't listen. And so when it came as a shock, but it was not a shock to so many people who were already aware that Nigeria was on a path to destruction. So the question is, how is Buhari at fault? Let me tell you where I feel Buhari has failed. He has not been as aggressive as we want him to be. Finish. But if he was implementing those policies, absolutely. If he was implementing those policies, absolutely. It's been slow, but the slow is slow in getting things done. Look, Nigeria is such a precarious state that sometimes slow is not right. But it's better late than never. So let us face things that matters. I mean, let's begin to discuss issues that are of interest to you and I. Not issues that are of interest to who? To a politician that sits somewhere. Look, let 1 million Nigerians walk into the street and demonstrate, which is very important, and I support what Two-Face is doing and what so many Nigerians are doing. Go into the street and challenge your leadership. If every single state governor commits 10% of everything they get from FAC towards farming every single month, I can assure you that every state governor will have no reason not paying salaries of their staff, of their civil and public servants. But they go to Abuja to do what? To collect money, and collect money for themselves, and not for you and I. So Nigerians, it is time for you to begin to look deep, look in, and then challenge yourself. Challenge it. It's not. Let's not. In challenging the leadership, we must challenge ourselves. In focusing on the leadership, we must focus on ourselves. In looking at where this country is failing, we must look at where we are failing. The docility of the Nigerian people is actually empowering the politicians to do rubbish, to kill you, to kill me, to frustrate us, to send young men and women who are capable of walking into what? Into the what you call the yahoo. And so you begin to have a mindset that thinks of miracle, a mindset that wants something to happen today, a mindset that all he's interested in is where is the next money coming from, where the national cake, where the next shop, not where the next work. So you fail. Solutions? Nationalize the economy. Solutions? Nationalize your thought. Solutions? Nationalize your social infrastructure. Your religion is your business. I don't care. Your religion is something that appeases to you. It doesn't appeal to me. So please hold your religion. Somebody once said that religion is like your dick, your penis. Bros, if it's big, if it's small, now you sabi. But keep on for your pant. No begin waka enter street, they fling them up, say, bros, my dick big or my dick small. You don't consign me. Now you get on. No be me get on. And so our religion should be our business. Our ethnicity and tribalism should drive tourism. Not terrorism, I beg no offense. Should drive tourism in our location and make us a better people, make us a better nation. You cannot expect to feed when you have not worked. You cannot expect to eat when you know arrange. Bros, this will not be magic. So the sharp approach must end. The sharp approach will not work. Africa, look at Ethiopia. Ethiopia is not a democracy pass. It's a one-party state. But look at Ethiopia being one of the #1 foreign investment destination in Africa. Now, you begin to look at that and begin to understand that a lot of people are talking about democracy, don't even understand what they're talking about. Look, the investors is not interested in whether you're a democracy or you're a dictatorship. His interest is in the protection of his money. And in most cases, in case you don't know, where those who people prefer to invest under dictatorship because the processes are simple, straightforward, and nobody, no senator, no house of rep, they mess up. And so you have in dictatorships more economic. It tends to be more economic growth when you have dictator. One of my finest human being online, Ademola Henry Adigun, said it yesterday. He said, guess what? He said, under the military dictatorship, things were built that have not been built in the democratic dispensation. So the investor is not interested in all those rubbish you're talking about, your human rights, your so on and so forth. No. Is interested in the stability of your environment. In 3 months, Nigeria's external reserve grew from $24 billion to close to $30 billion as we speak. How did that happen? Because you have a president that understands that, look, above all things, we need to stabilize our finances, stabilize our structures, so that when we approach people and tell them, please come into our economy, they will be interested in coming into your economy. An external reserve that is worth about 500, SS crude account is worth about 500, I've added over $500 million today. That is someone, and look at the single treasury account. Look at the fiscal responsibility project. Look at so many of these things. What they are simply trying to do is stabilize the foundation, because there is no foundation. The Nigerian economy don't have a foundation. That is the problem. So if you carry the best IMF policies and drop it on the Nigerian economy, it will collapse. Because there's no base. Where is the base of your economy? Some I said the fundamentals are wrong. Where are the fundamentals? Please give me the fundamentals. Look, your fundamentals right now is your consuming base, consumers base. Nigerians consume. Rather than our consumption, can you tell me that you have fundamentals in the production sector? Other than oil, what are the fundamentals? What are the fundamentals? What are the facts to support the Nigerian economy? When people like this, what is his name? From third world to first world. When this guy, people like this, Lee Kuan Yew, were developing the economy, they develop a structure. Has anybody taken the time to read this book? My Vision. This is Dubai. They were selling shells, seashell. That's what these people started selling. That was what they started selling in Dubai. Whether you are looking at Wealth of Nation by Adam Smith, or you are telling me about competitive advantage of nations by Michael Porter, whatever the books, you're talking about globalization by whatever the books you are reading, the bottom line is all of them centered on one team and one team only. Come back home. Whatever you are reading, if you don't nationalize the economy, you will not grow. So this suffering will not end. It won't. And that is the essence of our discussion this morning. Is that we will be hungry and we will suffer until every single Nigerian begin to go back to the era of planting trees. Our forefathers planted trees. Our fathers did not plant trees. That is why we are suffering today. So the question I would ask you and the question I would ask myself is simple. Are you ready to begin to plant trees for the future of this country? It is not a Buhari thing, it's not a Jonathan thing. In short, a lot of time I actually want to apologize to Jonathan a little bit because I realize that the problem with the Nigerian state is leadership, yes. But leadership is being empowered to be stupid by the people. Look at Romania. A law came up a couple of days ago. The law said, if you still below $50,000, we will let you go. And the people went to the street. That law has been shut down, and that government is on the verge of shutting down. Government is about shutting down. The law is off. On the craze. That was what the Romanian people told their government. You the craze? You want leap us in thief? And look at our James Ibori. When you have the lakhs of people celebrating James Ibori, and then they come to me to tell me they are hungry, I tell them God will punish you. Ibori destroyed Delta State. Now my state. Maternally. River State. Another madman is in River State. That's somebody told me that Red your papa from Delta, the man for Rivers. Ibori, Oruaga, Wike, Ameshi, sky Chris enter your head like this. I said I'm in love with that. The issues are simple. Easy. But we don't take the time to listen to ourselves, to the facts. You think that by chatting Buhari is dead, he's going to change anything about your hunger and your economy? The first president is capable, for goodness sake. They set up a full security committee. You say, oh, they won't set the price of good. Damn you! Go to the United States and or go to China and begin to set rubbish price for good because of recession or because of inflation. They go shut you down. How can you want your economy to grow? How can you want your people to be better? Then you say, oh, you cannot set panel for food. What is the panel? Please tell me what is the panel. Are they producing gari in China that will all of a sudden the price of gari don't go up? Are they producing what do you call it? Vegetable. Some of these, of course, we import vegetable from Israel. Let me pick something else. The point is that whatever the government has attempted to do, look at it from the angle of, is it beneficial to me, or is it beneficial to those who are importing, or is it beneficial to those who are killing the system? If it is beneficial to you, damn the consequence, tell the person that get to go to hell. We should be more interested. We should be more interested in that which works and forget that which is not working. Where is the nationalism in you and I? When are you going to stand up and tell yourself that the only way that I can love God is to love my neighbor, and the only way for me to love my neighbor is to fight for my neighbor, and the only way I can fight for my neighbor is to look at that which works in the state and support it? When are you going to begin to do that? Look at all our state governors. Owing salaries left, right, and center. Flying private jet left, right, and center. Running 10, 20, 30 convoys. Wasting money on so much. And here we are, to both of us. Please. Economic nationalism drives sustained national growth. No country will develop you for you. We have to. I'm a farmer. I'm going into real farming in the north. Olajide Abiola, one of my very good friends, is also a farmer. A lot of Nigerians are beginning to consider it as an option. Let us change the dynamics of our thought process. Let us begin to let go. Let us begin to let go of that which failed. Yes, I can understand people say that where is the nationalism in leadership? Yes, I get it. I get it. Where is the nationalism in leadership? You're correct. You see, let me not sit here and kid myself before you. 99% of our leaders are enemies of progress. They are evil. They are devilish. They are demonic. 99% of our leaders. That is a given. I mean, I'm not sparing APC or PDP or anyone. They are one and the same. However, the reason they are what they are, the reason they are willing to challenge them. Yes, we're not. They don't feel challenged, they don't feel threatened. And so, my people, I say to you today, right now, the solution in our states, in our country, is not in neoliberal localizing of the Nigerian economy. The solution is looking inward. The solution is for the people to be empowered. You have to rise up, stand up, and fight for that which you deserve. Or nobody will fight for you. It's a brief. And that's what I think that the president, to an extent, even though he's doing it slowly, is actually doing it. But it's been slow, yes. But when you look at it, steps he is taking, you have to understand that first you nationalize, then once you don't grow, bros, once everything is doing well, then you cannot begin to think about globalization. How can you begin to think of globalization when you don't produce anything? What are you going to globalize? You become a dumping ground. Are we not a dumping ground today? Are we not a dumping ground today? Are we not a dumping ground today? Somebody should tell me we are not a dumping ground. So the path that Buhari has chosen is actually the right path. And guess what? No path that this country was ever going to take was going to be easy. They were always all going to be hard, tough, strong. And above all things, they were always going to take us through a moment of, oh bros, where would they go? We're always going to get to that point. Where would they go? I mean, this when this man did say go airport, it was always going to get there. If you did not expect it was going to get there, you were wrong. You'll always be wrong. Because we operated a fake economy, like Donald Trump always say. We had a fake economy. Look, are you aware that your banking sector is one of the fakest banking sector you have in the world? A bank that depends on government for money, depends on government for survival. They take money from government as savings. They give the money back to government as what? As loans. And then you introduce TSA and you take the money from the bank. Oh, you want to kill the bank. Kill what banks? What are they doing? Banks to invest their money in agriculture. Not run to the stock market, run to the capital market, run to speculate. They take dollar, they want to sell it 400. You have a fake economy. Fake economy. Economy that was sustained only by corruption, by criminality, by governments. No private sector. The private sector will have an economy. Look, when you look at the Nigerian economy, actually you almost begin to weep. Run aground by you and I, by our people, by our parents. By our parents, our siblings, who are politicians. Our politicians are you, our parents, our siblings. I once told my father, I said, if I have my way, I will line all of you, including you, my dad, and shoot you, kill all of you. That's what I will do. Because you were a generation that should have given us the impetus to grow. Now you became a generation that gave us nothing and took everything away from us. And so, here we are. It's not me. It's not you. It's us. This hunger is not going anywhere. And I don't advise the president to change routes. No. Let him continue on this trajectory. Let the local industry begin to enjoy. My pain, and I will repeat it, say it again and again and again. Government should begin to spend money on localization. Forget about anything. Shut down all the land borders. I don't care. Like I've always said, set up shooting range. Let us have mobile shooting range, sniper range across the Nigerian borders. Anybody that is smuggling, shoot him aside. Point and kill. Shoot aside anybody that is smuggling anything into this country. Let us have shooting range across our borders. If you can't consume Nigeria, go and die. As an Roboma, what am I doing with rice? And if we can produce rice, we can actually produce that to begin to export it. And the president has said that by 2018, we're going to begin to export rice in this country. So what are you talking about? That is rice. Let's go to maize. Let's go to millet. Let's go to wheat. Let's begin to do this. Let's go to palm oil. Let's go to okra. Let's go to vegetable. Let's go to ugu. And all these many things you can produce almost in the immediate. And make them forex earners. Then we'll not begin to chase dollar. But let me conclude by saying this. And let's be very clear. The dollar is going to head to 1,000, even more. You know why? Because we are not producing anything. Until we begin to produce, we should be ready for the consequences of a dollar that will frustrate us. You see, sometimes when you cry, clean your eyes, look in front of you, think and ask yourself, why am I crying? There are always reasons for our failure. And you see, in Nigeria, the reasons for our failure are many. We are the reasons. Our Mumu don't do. It's a project that going forward in 2017 is going to intend to shut down government agency for specific purposes. We feel the Ministry of Agriculture is not doing enough. We are going to attack that Ministry of Agriculture. We feel Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission is not doing enough. We are going to go after that ministry. We feel that the Nigerian judiciary is a mess and it's not helping us. We are going to attack, go after that agency. We feel that the presidency can do more, we are going to go after the presidency. We feel that National Assembly is wasting resources with their running grant, we are going to go after them. Specifics. And by the grace of God, we have a lot of Nigerians who are supporting our movement because we are not interested in the head of the president. Look, if Buhari don't die, he has lived a good life. Osibanjo is doing a good job. But the president will die when it is his time to die. That should not be our narrative. You see, our narrative should not be about the things that divide us. Our narrative and our discussions and our arguments and our position should be about the things that unite us. Once we do that, we'll begin to see clearly and change our country and change ourselves and become better citizens. That is the only way we can become a people who are interested in growing their nation. I'm a nationalist. Economic nationalism is the message. Nigerians should think back, look back home, come back home, and make their country great again. Thank you for giving me the time, giving me the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you for listening. Our Mumu don't do. Our Mumu don't do. France is campaigning, they don't want globalization. The UK, no globalization. US, no globalization. And somebody goes sit down, they tell you neoliberalism. I prefer the Chinese route. I prefer the Malaysian route. Please, go and read Mahathir Ibn Mohammed. After all the advice from the World Bank and IMF in 1997 during the Asian financial crisis, he said he did the opposite of everything that was advised by the IMF. Look at what happened. He grew faster, he recovered from the recession quicker, and he became a better country. The same thing with most of Asia. Your country is your pride. I love this country. I love it more than any other. You should. Let us think our ways out of this recession and work towards making it better. Thank you for the opportunity. And good morning once again.